The .NET MAUI release candidates are here. That's right, no more preview. It is go live time, so tune in. Hey everyone, I'm James and I'm back with another video, this time talking about the .NET MAUI release candidates. That's right, no more previews, get out of here. We are in release candidate situation. That's right, we're at least in one or two or multiple release candidates before GA or general availability. But the big thing here is that the API is locked down. That's right, that's really exciting. And in fact, there are tons of really great changes in the release candidates that I'm real excited about. And it really cleans up the projects, cleans up all those essential APIs that are no longer essential. They're in the box, which is cool. But most importantly, besides that API being locked down and namespaces and all those breaking changes, it also means there's a go live license. That's right, a go live license, which means there's an official support policy in place. Go live often comes around with release candidates. You'll see that with like when .NET 6 had a release candidate or .NET 7 will have a release candidate. There's a go live license specifically. So if you pick up the phone, you pick up your rotary phone, you call Microsoft, someone on the other line will help you with support, which is really, really exciting. Now, like I said, there is and maybe some bugs in the release candidates. A release candidate doesn't mean it's final. In fact, once there's GA, it doesn't mean that all the bugs are squashed, obviously. But there's basically a quality metric and barrier that is there that the team is going for. And of course, locking down those APIs ever so important. Now, as of time of this recording, at least there's release candidate 1. There might be release candidate 2, 3. Who knows how many release candidates there will be up until the general availability. It should be relatively soon, which is exciting. Now, I'm not going to do videos for every release candidate, so this is going to be the last one before GA on .NET MAUI. So if you're sick of me putting out videos every month, well, don't worry. This is going to be the last one for at least previews and release candidates and things like that. I will be putting out new tutorial videos, and I will also be putting out a very long form workshop video. You can actually do the workshop today, and I'll put a link and I'll show that workshop that I put out a few weeks ago, which is quite exciting. But enough talk. We're literally 2 minutes in. Let's get into what has changed. And I'm going to talk about setup for both Visual Studio on Windows and additionally Visual Studio and Command Line on the Mac. So let's check it out. Now, to get started with the .NET MAUI release candidate, you're going to want to install 17.2 Preview 3. Now, for some reason, mine says it has completed with warnings. I don't know why. I must have had other installs going on this time. If you see that, you can always go and do a repair that'll fully uninstall, reinstall everything. Of course, when you go into modify, what you need to make sure that you have installed right here is this mobile development with .NET. And that is going to obviously come over here and check that .NET MAUI preview, even though it is release candidate. So it's definitely there. So definitely check that out. Update that to Preview 3 and you will have everything that you need because this will install all of the .NET bits and pieces that are required. All right, when you create a brand new project, you're gonna look very similar-esque, okay, inside of here. But the biggest change is that Shell has finally arrived. Dun, 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 dun. Shell finally made it. I did it. I'm excited. The team pulled it in. All that good stuff is here. I'm real excited. So much goodness coming in here. We have a shell, and shell I did a whole video on. I'll put it up over there. But shell basically gives you this shell of an application, or kind of a very nice way of structuring your application, and URL navigation too. And you can also pass parameters. You can pass full objects, which is really cool. I'll show that off here in a second. But shell is in here. It's very minimal. It just has one piece of content, which is nice. So it has a data template, which will lazily load this. Main page is the route. Every single shell piece of content or every new page you register has a route. So you can do URL navigation. That's in the workshop. So you'll actually see that there too. And you can see the flyout behavior is disabled. Now, what's really cool here is that you can do things like put things into a tab bar, for example, or if you add more pieces of shell content, that'll automatically enable flyout to give you flyout if you want to do that too. So you can pick sort of how do you want your root of your application to look? Just a single page? You want flyout navigation, or do you want tabs? And of course, tabs can be on top and on the bottom. I did a whole video on shell stuff, which is great. So you can go and check that out. But shell is there, which is really exciting. And of course, we still have our main page. Not a lot has changed here. So we have a scroll view, buttons, we have semantic properties for accessibility, and we have the vertical stack layout, which is nice. So same old, nothing major there. We still have our code behind of our click handler. So things are nice, things are beautiful there, which is cool. Inside our MAUI program, again, not much has changed here. Inside of here, we have our use MAUI app, but we also have our configure fonts. And the team has put in 2 fonts. So now there are 2 fonts. There is regular and semi-bold. So now you got both of those in there, which is cool. Now let's go into some of the different resources over here. And there is some new things. So we have our fonts, which we see before. We have our images, so our .NET bot, and we have some raw assets. Raw assets are really cool. You can put like a JSON file in there. You can put a database in there, whatever you want. But then we also have our app icons, and we have the styles.xaml. All right, this is really cool. The team put together sort of a default style guide for applications. So this will set you up for success out of the box. And additionally, it enables light theme and dark theme mode too. You can also tell that it is XAML compiled, so which means it's going to be super performant, so you're not going to see a hit at all in your application. In fact, the team I know has been finely tuning the application here. But this is going to give you all of your different brushes, all of your different things that you may need in here. I just love this. So there's like accents and blue accent colors, all sorts of stuff. And what I want to show you is that they have automatically stylized every control in the box. So we have activity indicator. So there's a color. There is a app theme binding for light theme and dark theme mode. We have indicator view, border, a box view, a button. This even has visual state management in it. So this will see normal and disabled mode. Again, this is going to really set you up for success out of the box. Here's a checkbox, common states, date picker, again, enabled, disabled. Editor gives you all that stuff. Entry, I'm just going to scroll through them. Frame, image button, label, list view, a picker inside of here, a progress bar, radio button, refresh view, search bar, search handler, which is in here, a shadow, a slider, a swipe item, a switch, a time picker. Look at all these things. A page, there's the default page. So here's the backgrounds of the pages. There's a light theme and a dark theme here. And then you have these base styles, and this is the shell base style, which will enable your background color, your title bar, your tab bar colors, which is really nice. You get all that stuff in there. Navigation page, tab page, you get all the default styling, everything in here. It's hundreds of lines of code, which is great. But this means that you can override all of that stuff just with a few little changes to the colors that you want. So here's the primary, light, light gray, mid gray, dark gray. So you can easily turn those on and off. So this is a beautiful style guide. Now, of course, you can just like throw that all away if you want to, delete the file, then it won't be in there. The easiest way to do that is go into the app XAML, and you'll see it here. This is the application resources. So you get resource dictionary, source, resources, styles.xaml. So it's all there, and it merges them together, which is really, really cool. So instead of just shoving all the resources here, it's in a separate file, which is nice. So you get everything right there. Now, besides that, there are a few other changes in here. So not much going on in the platform specific code. This stuff is still really, really minimal overall. So nothing fancy there. One thing that I do want to show off though, is if I double tap on the project, we're going to see some new properties that light up in this version. So the first thing that we're going to see here is that we have an application ID, but also a application ID for Windows that's been generated, which is this huge GUID. That's how applications are there on Windows are specified. Previously, that was inside the Windows package manifest. So now it's just inside the CS proj file. Now there's also some talk about moving that stuff around, but it is all there. I also want to note here that there's an application display version and an application version. So this is really nice if you have this in CI and CD, continuous integration and delivery. This is what is displayed to your user. And then this is the version number that needs to increment with every single release, which is really, really nice. Now the team changed a few other little tweaks inside of here. We still have our app icon and our splash screen, but we have now not only sort of an example of adding every single image in the images folder, but how to update a specific one with a base size. So for example, here we have the .NET Bot SVG. We give it a base size of 168 by 208. So for that image, it's like, hey, use this SVG base size and scale down from there, so you don't generate huge things in the SVG. We still have fonts and we still have raw assets, so they're all there. There's like a very quirky recursion file name extension thing. I don't know what's up with that. It's weird, but cool. There, and that's it. Now, some things that are not here anymore are specifically any of the setup for the Windows project. Before, you had to specify the versions of the WinUI SDK. That's now handled automatically. And additionally, some things that are in there were some like weird setup project things that are in there too. So it's all there. Now, what I want to show you is that there's been some changes specifically to the platform specific stuff. So let's say we're inside of our page over here and we want to access, let's say, network activity, for example. One thing that we may wanted to have done in the past is say using Microsoft.maui.esend. Oh, it's not there anymore. No more essentials. It is gone. We now have things such as devices, sensors, for example. We should have some other ones like application model. We have communication and data transfer. So what has happened here is that a bunch of APIs have broken down into smaller namespaces. So if I wanted to come in and say Microsoft.maui.application model.communication. We can see now, if I scroll up here a little bit, that we have things such as contact, email, SMS, all that stuff inside of there, which is really, really cool. And let me show you where you can find this new change. So if I go over here, of course, we have our beautiful release candidate blog from David. But if we go over to our wiki, what we'll see is that there is all these quick docs. And there's this migrate to release candidate 1. And what you'll see here is that basically all of the Maui Essentials updates name stuff has gone away. But there's still interfaces, which is nice. So you can do dependency injection. But here it is. Here's the brand new namespaces: accessibility, application model. So these are things such as browser, app actions, launcher, map. Here's communication, which you saw, data transfer, so clipboard and file sharing, authentication, devices. So that's the battery, device info. Here's the sensors, media, networking. That's the one I was looking for. So connection profile, connectivity, storage, all that stuff is in there. And again, there's a bunch of things here, such as changing the package, removing that stuff. And there's also been optimizations for the Blazor web view. So if you want to do some hybrid development, you want to do 100% Blazor inside your Maui app or just a little bit, they've cleaned it up. So it's actually just one line of code, which is add Maui Blazor web view, which is really, really cool. So it cleans up all sorts of things there. Now, it is really, really easy to get up and running over on Windows. As we just saw, you just update Visual Studio, and that will give you everything that you need to get ready, get going. Now, on the flip side, though, on Mac, of course, Visual Studio for Mac 2022 is still in preview. It doesn't have official .NET MAUI support there. So there's a few tweaks and things that you need to install locally to actually get things running, either compiling via the command line or compiling up actually inside of Visual Studio for Mac 2022, unofficially supported right now. But I'll show you what that looks like. It's really easy. So let's go ahead and check that out. All right, the very first thing we need to do is install the .NET 6 SDK, specifically version 6.0.300. Easiest way to get there is via the development guide. It links directly over here to the SDKs that you need. And everything that you actually need at all. So it's all there, ARM64 or x64 based on your setup. There's also this installer page, so you can actually get to it right here and check the specifics that you need for your machine. I'm on an ARM64 M1, so I'm going to install that. Be good to go. Now, once you have that, you're going to do like .NET info. Make sure you have the 60300. There's the preview right there, and you're good to go. Then what we're going to need to do is install the .NET MAUI workload with .NET workload install MAUI. Now, of course, you need proper permissions, so make sure you sudo that. You can do that on any of your terminals. Here I'm inside of Fish terminal, and that's pretty cool. All right, so once that installs, mine was pretty quick, so I already had it installed. We can now create a new project. So we're going to go do .NET new MAUI. I'm inside of a folder called RC1, so it's gone ahead and named it MAUI RC. And now I can just do .NET build, and over here I'm going to do run fnet60 Mac Catalyst, and that's going to go ahead and build up my Mac Catalyst application with all the different stuff, just as if I did file new over on Windows before. This takes about 17 seconds or so, which is pretty impressive, to be honest with you, building up for the very first time. And then just running it. So this is just running it in normal mode and just going to boot it up right here on my machine. So it's right here. Boom, there it is. We can go ahead and click, click, click. And now we totally have a Mac app, which is rad. But I can also open up Visual Studio 2022 for Mac Preview and just open the solution or the project file here. So here we're just going to give it permission to my desktop. And it's going to load up the entire project, just like we had in Visual Studio on Windows. Now it is, again, in a preview and it's not officially supported, but it does load up everything. Some of the multi-targeting stuff and hot reloading stuff may not work, but so far I'm pretty impressed with most of the things that are working right now. And of course, every build's going to get better. Here in the dropdown, we can see I have Mac and iOS, and if I had my Android device or emulator, it would show up there too. But I can just hit debug, and this is going to go ahead and start a debug session right here, just as I would normally expect, which is pretty cool. And I can open up XAML pages, resources, all those things that I would expect normally. So again, we're just going to build it up and a bunch of output. I like that. And let's get our app running. This time in debug mode, which is actually really neat. So you could add breakpoints and do that stuff, but we got our app running. Cool. Now I can also select an iOS simulator. Now, at least on my machine, the debugger doesn't seem to be working. So we'll actually see the app open and then sort of close again too. So we'll see what that looks like. But it is up here. Here we go. Boop. Cool. And installs and launches and then stops, and some error there. But if you just tap on it, it's installed. So it actually will launch it. And here it is running. And now we have it running over on iOS, which is super duper cool. All right, so now we have things set up on our Windows machine and on our Mac machine, which is really, really awesome. Now, there are a few little things that I also want to tell you about with the release candidate. Is that one, the team has been updating the .NET MAUI and Blazor podcast application. So the .NET podcast application that we showed at .NET Conf, that has been updated. It's been really fun. Actually, Eric and Jonathan Peppers have been working really hard fine-tuning and optimizing that application. So shaving seconds and milliseconds off different bits and pieces and shaving the actual size of the application down. So one thing that they did is they removed newtonsoft.json and they put in the system text JSON. So that is linker safe and really brings it down. And additionally, I learned that if you use the extensions HTTP client, which seems like a best practice, it's actually not optimized for mobile as much. So you shouldn't use that at all. You should just create a new HTTP client. So that'll actually make your app start a little bit quicker too. So fun fact there. It's been really fun to watch that progress. Now, I also want to talk about this .NET MAUI workshop that I created too. So over on the .NET presentations repo, now if you've never seen this over here, there's all sorts of good stuff in here. There's ASP.NET Core workshop. There was an old xamarin.forms workshop, .NET workshop. There's .NET MAUI presentations. There's all sorts of stuff. Here's a Blazor workshop, so all sorts of stuff. The 20th anniversary swag was in here too. So here's like a bunch of like cool like social stuff and like really beautiful 20th anniversary stuff is in there. But you'll find the .NET MAUI workshop. Now I've been updating this as things go. I actually released it with preview 14, so there were some changes you can see for RC1, and I'll keep updating it as it goes. But it's a really nice workshop. It's about a one-day workshop. that I've given in person before. And I'm actually going to do a full recording that I'm going to put out here on YouTube. It'll probably be like 6 or 8 hours long, I think. But you can see there's 6 parts currently today. So single page, loading data, MVVM and data binding, navigation, all with shell with dependency injection, implementing native platform features, collection view optimizations, and theming the application with light theme and dark theme as well. And you build this full monkey application up across iOS, Android, Mac, and Windows. So you can actually just jump in here. When you jump into a section, there's a full README available, so you can scroll down, you can learn about stuff. And additionally, there is a slides folder with all of the PowerPoints that I created that I would be presenting at the same time too. So you can jump in. A lot of people have been doing it. It's got 190 stars so far. That's pretty cool. And it's all right there. So definitely check that out and give me some feedback. What else do you want to see? I'm thinking about adding accessibility module, a Blazor hybrid section where we add a little bit of Blazor content in there. And then additionally, I got some requests for unit testing too. So what would you like to see? If there's parts 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 18, 500, what would you like to see? All right, well, that is .NET MAUI release candidate getting set up on Windows, getting set up on Mac. Hope that you really enjoyed this. If you've made it this far in the video, please give it a thumbs up. Jam on that button. That really helps help others find the video, goes into that YouTube algorithm of goodness. And of course, don't forget to subscribe and ding that notification bell so you get notified every single time I put out videos right here. What else do you want to see? I'm going to start doing tutorials over here on my YouTube channel. Of course, I'm going to give tons of great content on the .NET YouTube as well. So I'm going to do some tutorials. Of course, I have a lot of xamarin.forms tutorials that are so totally applicable, but I'm going to be kind of updating those and tweaking them as they go and referring to those ones when valid. So give me feedback. What do you want to see? What topics do you want to cover? Go down to the comment section below. Let me know. I'd appreciate it. But that's going to do it for this video and our release candidates of .NET MAUI. We'll see you in GA.